Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist here at Fons & Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put together the blocks for the quilt called Doves. If you'd like to purchase this pattern, please visit our website. We're going to be using 10-inch pre-cut squares today, and we've got a colorway here of purples and lavenders into almost like a Merlot or a burgundy kind of color. And then you can also purchase 10-inch squares of just a plain solid white. So the cutting part is kind of done for you. So then we're going to jump into a really fun technique. So let me take these out of the way. And this is the block that we're shooting for. In the end, this is going to be trimmed down, and I'll show you how we trim it. But I want to jump into the construction of such a block right off the beginning here. So what we're going to be doing, now in the instructions it talks about cutting these one layer at a time, and you can do it that way. I just thought I would give you a little extra tip of maybe if you pair them, a color with a white at the same time, you'll have half blocks already ready to take to the sewing machine so you can get to the sewing too. So what we can do is put two blocks, and since they're solid prints or solid fabrics, we don't have to about right or wrong side. So two fabrics on top of each other. Then we're going to go and we're going to start doing the cutting. And this is a little bit different technique than we're used to. Usually we're cutting individual squares or rectangles. This one is going to be a little bit different technique. We're going to go corner to corner, the diagonal. And there are diagrams that you can follow along in the pattern. I'm going to spread this apart just a bit. Then we're going to cut 2.5-inch wide strip diagonal. And in order to kind of keep yourself aligned so you know where your 2.5 is really easily, you can use what they call glow line tape. Comes in a variety of colors, and we'll put a piece, just take a piece of it, just to give myself a guideline. Now you could also use painter's tape, but painter's tape you can't see through. This you could just lay right on the 2.5-inch line on your ruler, and you can still see through it to see if you're right on the cut edge or not. So if I were to be over, I could tell that I need to back up. Painter's tape doesn't give you that ability to see through it. And that's just a guide so that you don't accidentally cut one at 2.25 strip or 2-inch strip or 2 3/4, so that you can keep yourself consistent. So we're going to cut a 2.5-inch strip here. We're going to do the exact same thing by rotating. We're going to cut a 2.5-inch on this side. The fun with this is that if you don't have a lot of time to sew, you could stack up a couple pieces, do some cutting, do some sewing, and have a few blocks or at least partial blocks completed, and come back later and do the same process again. So you feel like you've made some progress in your sewing. Now from this, we're going to be cutting diamonds off the ends of this section and this section. Now if I just keep my fabrics just a little ways apart, I should be able to keep my widths about me. I want a 2.5-inch wide strip, which will make this into a diamond. So I'm going to come in here, cut here. There's one. Rotate. Nice part about having that rotating mat underneath there is I don't have to bounce things. The strips did come just apart a little bit there. Slide them back one over the top of the other. Again, 1, 2.5. Make a cut there. So that one. Do it on two more spots. So 2.5. When I go to rearrange the pieces here in a minute, you'll see what I mean about having pieces ready for sewing. This is the last one. So I've got pieces here and here. Okay. Now, with just a little bit of rearrangement, we're going to be able to get pieces that look similar to this in their makeup. Now, notice, large triangle and the small one in front of it, they're the same fabrics. So if I take these two away, I'm going to take them together. They're going to go into the same block. Then I'm going to take these two. I'll pull them away. They go together. Now I have to mismatch my diamonds with these. So the bright purple ones come in here, and the white ones will go with this. And I have half blocks ready to go there. Doing the same process again. These two pieces stay together. They go here. The white ones stay together. They go here. Mismatch your colors. And here. I have 4 half blocks ready to go. So I'm going to show you the joining of those pieces. So I'm going to take some of these away just for now. I would know those go together. These go together. I might even take and put a pin through that stack so that later I can come back and make sure I don't mismatch. Be very gentle with them. You do have some bias edges. You don't want to distort anything at this point. But this way I have like little packets to take right to the sewing machine that you know they go together. Okay, now let's talk about its actual construction. We're going to be taking these pieces. We are going to join this into a row and then add the large triangle. So I'm going to just flip them right sides together, right sides together. If it were a print, since it's solid, I guess it's not really a right or a wrong, but just flip them in, you know the position's right. Now if you look here, you'll see this triangle shape. It should be about a quarter inch from this cut edge in to that V. That's where I want to start and stop. So this one's positioned properly. Then come over here and do the same thing. From this outside edge to that V should be about a quarter inch or as close to as you can get. So I'm going to put a pin there so that when I move it to the sewing machine, I can seam here and here. And then let's take it in, do those seams really quickly. Wake up our sewing machine and a set for my perfect quarter inch seam. Try not to run over pins since it's a little bit hard on the needle. Do one side. Nice part is you can just flip it, do the second side. I had my pin back a ways there so I didn't have to worry about running into it. Tip didn't end up under the presser foot. Now, here is a tip for watching. Press your seam allowance toward the darker fabric. So press your seam allowance toward the darker fabric. I'm just going to do it with my finger quickly here. You could do that same thing with the iron. Do it very gently. You don't want to distort because you've got bias edges everywhere. Now, this fabric then goes here. So, right sides together, flipped it over. This is where you're going to want to just center it. Remember I said something about trimming this block down? So center it. It's going to be a little long on each side and stitch a quarter inch seam there. I have one similar to it made here, and you can see that quarter inch seam right there. So that creates those half blocks. Once you've gone through and done all your cutting and created all of your half blocks, you just need to take 2 that are of different combination, where you've got the dark fabric here on one side and the light fabric here, and join those together into a block. Remember I said something about pressing toward the darker fabric, or you're in this. If you do that, when you put right sides together here, you'll have opposing seams, and that will give you perfect intersections here and here. So pressing towards that dark is to your advantage here. Quarter inch seam, and you can either press the seam allowance open or to one side like this. The last step is to go in and to trim your block to 8.5 inch square. I need my glove. And that will mean that your blocks will be perfectly aligned so that you're putting block to block within this. You'll get great intersections. What you want to do is you can take the advantage of having that diagonal there And on a large square ruler, you have the diagonal marked, and you want to trim that to 8.5 inches, and it should be fairly close to that. If I line up my diagonal there, these outer edges are very, very close to 8.5 already, so I'm really only trimming away a little bit off of each of the large triangles on opposite corners. So I'm just wasting very little fabric in this project. The nice part about trimming once you're done is that from when you put block to block and row to row, everything is perfectly aligned. That's what I call a perfect block. If you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly videos, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me.